Autoline Live from the North American International Auto Show is brought to you by our signature sponsors, Chrysler, Dodge, Fiat, Jeep, Mopar, Ram, and SRT. And also by Audi, Truth in Engineering, and IAC Group. Inspiration comes from within.
Welcome to Autoline's coverage of the North American International Auto Show in Detroit, Day 2. I hope you saw yesterday's show. If not, go back to our website. You can catch all the action there. But boy, have we got another whale of a program for you today. Let me just give you some of the highlights of what's coming up. We got Jim Lentz, the head of Toyota for the North American region. Jose Munoz, the new head of Nissan North America. We have Mike Manley, the head of Jeep, and a whole lot more coming up right after this.
When you came into this world, you tumbled in head first. All arms and legs, looking everywhere, moving everywhere. You went where your eyes and ears took you. And little by little, you became you. You found tools to satisfy your curiosity because you wanted to see more and do more. And there was something to be found in everything. And little by little, it changed. People told you things, where to go, what to do, what not to do. Little by little, the world started to feel smaller. Only, it isn't. You're still here, and you're still you. The horizons haven't gone anywhere, and the tools you need are right here. So you can throw yourself at the world head first. Again, introducing the all-new Jeep Cherokee.
Joining me right now, Bob Ferguson, the head of Cadillac globally, all worldwide. You've got the whole thing here. How's the show so far for you, Bob?
Great to see you, John. The show's going fantastic for Cadillac. The enthusiasm of those looking at our vehicles is very high. We're coming off a great year where we had tremendous momentum, so things are really good at Cadillac.
We'll get back to that in a minute, but we got to talk about your new intro at the show. You've got the ATS Coupe. Tell me a little bit about this car.
It's a fabulous car. It's a part of the ATS family that's working so well for Cadillac. You know, those buying an ATS, 70% of them didn't own a Cadillac before. Of those conquest buyers, they're about 10 years younger than normal. So the ATS is working terrific for us. This is something that consumers have been asking for. They want a coupe in this lineup, so we're eager to get it out. It'll be on sale in the fall. And it's beautifully apportioned. It's lighter. 5-star crash rated. It's just a terrific vehicle, a new addition to the Cadillac family.
What impresses me is, of course, coupes don't sell in the kind of volume that sedans do. But for those people who really want a coupe, you've got one now. So that tells me that Cadillac really is investing in a way that it may not have in the recent past.
Well, we need to broaden our product offering, and our dealers and our customers have been asking for a coupe. This is my favorite Cadillac. I've wanted a coupe, so you can expect me to grab one of these. I'm one of those coupe drivers. And when we tested this, we saw there's a broad audience out there that's very receptive to a coupe on the ATS platform.
You say a broad audience. I would have thought that this might skew younger.
You know, we all get older, but none of us want to get old.
No, none of us do. You're right.
That's right. And so I think there'll be broad appeal for this, but sure, I think it'll sell a little bit better to a younger audience. No question about it.
And I've got to ask you about the badge on the grille. This is the new crest of Cadillac. You showed it on the El Mirage concept car, which is also here, by the way.
Right.
We can talk about that in a minute, maybe, too. But talk about the change of the badge, the logo, the new Cadillac logo.
Yeah, this badge, I think, really sets up our vehicles. It's a little sleeker. It's a little leaner. It doesn't dominate the grille quite as much as our previous crest. And we've had a progression of Cadillac crests over the years. We've changed it several times. It tests beautifully with our consumers. It looks great on the car. I think customers are going to really like it.
So you've gone from really sort of a round logo badge to one that's more rectangular. To me, it just looks a whole lot more modern.
I think it looks modern. It looks sleek. It fits the new design of our cars. And what we did was we deleted the wreath. And so I think it looks sleeker, and you know, some customers had been telling us that they thought the old mark was a tad bit dated, and they liked this.
So we're seeing it on the ATS Coupe. I got to believe it's going to go across the line.
Starting in midsummer, it'll start appearing on other Cadillacs.
Oh, so you'll go and even change those that have got the old one on it?
You know, every model going forward after midsummer will be converting to this new crest.
Bob, as you mentioned, you had a terrific year in the American market.
Yes.
Clearly, Cadillac's real growth is going to come from outside the U.S. What's the story there?
You know, we had a great year abroad. We grew 30% globally. We were up more than 50% in China. We're up to about 200 dealers in China at this point, so that's a great market for us. We're expanding in places like Russia and the Middle East, so Cadillac is truly reestablishing itself as a global brand.
And you've got yet another new model besides the ATS really coming into the showrooms now, the all-new Escalade.
Right now we have the ELR, which is going
the ELR
into showrooms,
too, that's right.
And the Escalade, and we'll have this out in the fall. So this is really an exciting year from a product standpoint for Cadillac. Our cadence of new products continues, and you should expect that through the end of the decade.
Now, let's go back to the ELR a minute. You were talking about China and outside the U.S. That car going outside of the U.S. as well?
It will. We're only going to make it in certain numbers, so it will primarily be sold in North America. But we'll sell some in China, we'll sell some internationally, but we're only going to make so many, and I think demand in the U.S. will strip a lot of the available inventory.
Good for you guys. The El Mirage concept car, you showed it at Pebble Beach.
Right.
I saw it at the Frankfurt Auto Show. You got it at the Detroit show. Clearly, you guys want the public to see the future of where you're going in design. What's this car indicate of what might be in the Cadillac showroom somewhere down the line?
It's a great car. It's beautiful. Consumers are saying to us, how fast can you get that car to us? So we're looking hard at it. It's a concept car at this point, but I think it'd be great at the top of the Cadillac line.
Do you have the lineup that you want? I mean, you've got an electric car, ATS, CTS, XTS,
SRX.
Escalade, SRX.
Yes.
Is that pretty much it, or do you have
Not at all.
No,
Not at all. We want to have a robust showroom for our dealers to sell, and our customers want a broader collection of Cadillac cars to choose from. So we'll continue to expand.
Numbers-wise, how many models do you think you might end up with?
You know, I don't know. If we were like the Germans and named our cars by 1s, 2s, and 3s, I think we'd run out of single digits.
Oh, there's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
Bob, we got to get on to some of the other interviews that we're doing here at the show, but thanks so much for your time here at Cadillac, and very impressive what's all going on here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hey, you know, at the auto show, you got to grab these executives when they're available. Dave Zuchowski is the new CEO of Hyundai North America. We caught up with him yesterday, just before they introduced the new Genesis, and let's go to that interview right now. I'm in the Hyundai booth right now with the newest model that Hyundai's got, debuting at the North American International Auto Show, and that's the brand new CEO, Dave Zuchowski.
How do you like that?
I like it a lot, Dave, actually. So this has got to be real exciting for you.
It is.
I mean, obviously you've been in the business a long, long time, and we've talked at other auto shows, but I've never talked to you as CEO of the company.
Yeah, it's a different view. I mean, I've been around for 7 years. I've been deeply involved in all the issues, but it's a different perspective as president and CEO. It's exciting, but it's a little bit overwhelming for the first time through. I got to tell you, it's perfect to get a chance to talk to so many people that would take months to see otherwise, but the process itself is a little bit grueling.
Yeah, it is. Well, you know, we all know what we're signing up for when we go to an auto show. You're going to be tired, but you're going to get a lot out of it, too. Okay, let's talk 2014.
Okay.
You guys are under a little bit of pressure. You've been growing, but not growing as fast as the overall market, and you're losing market share as a result. Do you continue like that, or what do you do?
No. My biggest priority coming into Hyundai in 2014 is to make sure that everybody understands that 2010 and 2011 and 2012 were not artificial, and that 2013 was an anomaly. And there's a lot of reasons for us capping growth last year. Number one, you got to start with, we set our 4th consecutive year of record sales volume. So it was a record sales year.
Let's put it in perspective.
Let's put it in perspective. It was good. It wasn't good enough. We didn't perform with the industry. We went from 4.9% market share down to 4.6% market share. My number one priority next year is to outperform the market and get back on a growth trend. It's very important for us symbolically to get back to a 5% market share. We're not going to do it next year. We think we can go from 4.6 to 4.7 with what our global production looks like. But midterm, not even long term, midterm, that's very symbolic, very important to us. a lot of things went into 2013. We were never quite as good as we looked in 2010, 11, and 12 because we had great product. But there's a lot of external factors that really served as an accelerant to our growth. You can't plan on tsunamis. You can't plan on catching your competition flat-footed all the time. And so there was some payback last year. And many people are thrilled when they get the forecasters talking about increased industry levels. Where if you're capped at a certain amount of production globally and they take the industry up, that means it's a math equation and you're going to lose share. So for us, trying to keep pace with the growing industry has been a bit of a struggle for us.
Yeah, I can believe that completely. So what do you do now? How are you going to bump up that market share a little bit this year?
So it's a simple business. It's really all about product. Our growth was fueled by big product launches and big segments that were hugely successful with lots of incremental volume. Okay, so that's a pretty good formula. Last year was a quiet year. We didn't really have any launches last year. Our products aged. We've gone from the newest, freshest product lineup amongst all of our competitors 3 years later to the oldest product lineup amongst our competitors. And it's a tribute not to us moving fast enough, it's how fast the rest of the industry is moving. So Toyota, Honda, Nissan, Ford, Chevrolet, everybody, big product launches on the car side for the domestics, unlike normally they'll dominate the truck side. So heightened competition from our competitors, a slower product year for us, and you get struggles a little bit. It wasn't, like I said, it was a record year, but you get a lot more competition. So how do you change that? We're back in the product cadence. I mean, we knew 2013 was going to be a difficult year when we looked at our product cycle back in 2009. We didn't know it was going to be quite so competitive, but we knew. This year, we know we've got Genesis, just an awesome new second generation of Genesis, comes out a couple months, and it's going to be great. And then we have, believe it or not, it's time for a new Sonata already in the second half of the year. Wow. So there you got the full year, first half Genesis, second half Sonata. The product is important. The buzz is critical, right? So what happens when you don't have product is they're not talking about you at the auto show, you're not talking about you on your show, you're not on the magazine covers, you're not in the Twittersphere, you're not in any of that stuff, and you just lose some of that unpaid advertising. So you get great products out, you get the buzz and the mojo going again, you launch the products, you get the dealers excited, and it all starts coming back. And more importantly, you get to 2015 and 2016, and the product cadence looks an awful lot like it did in 2010 and 2011. So it's a product-driven business, and we're coming into it's perfect timing for me to take over because it's product-oriented right now. We got a lot of new stuff coming. So for me, number one priority is flawlessly execute these two launches, and that's going to result in sustained, maybe a little bit lower growth than we've seen in the past, but sustained growth, consistent market share increases. This is our 29th year in the market. We're not worried about our 30th year in the market. We're worried about our 50th and our 75th and our 100th. So we want to grow slow. We want to build a really strong foundation. We want to do it around product. We want to continue to upgrade our dealer network and provide unparalleled ownership experiences. That's how you build a great brand.
That's a great story there. But with the new Sonata coming this year, typically when you have a big significant model changeover or a significant refreshing, you lose some production. Are you going to run into that issue?
Yeah, we're in pretty good shape. I think one of the best manufacturing facilities in the world exists in Montgomery, Alabama. They've got a great plan in place. We're looking at late May, early June for the start of a production on the new Sonata. And we've got a plan going late into April, early May for a final sell down of the 2014. So really, really good plan. We don't see any scarcity in terms of holes in our production, nor do we see any problems with heavy carryover of the old model in preparation for the launch of the new model. So really good production plan set up.
Okay, last question then is, Hyundai's been really good at building up its brand image here. Can you continue to do that at the same time that you're trying to grow sales and avoid discounting and fleet sales, which you've had very good discipline on?
Yeah, we have. And again, so much of that, the incentive spend and the fleet mix, a lot of that is driven by product cycle. Again, as the product cycle ages, you tend to spend more money and you tend to fleet more vehicles as retail demand for older products ebbs a little bit. So we actually were at a 22% fleet mix when I started here. We got to a 10%. Last year we edged up This year we're pulling it back down. Incentive spend, if you looked at it on a year-over-year basis, it's one of the biggest increases in incentive spends in the industry, but it's coming from a zero base. So it's, what have you done for me lately? But our incentive spend is less than everybody else in the industry with the exception of Subaru, which is a lower volume competitor, and Honda. Everybody else has a higher incentive spend than we do. So yes, a big increase year over year, driven by a bit aging of the product lineup, comes back down this year as you bring new product out and drop your incentive spend down. So we absolutely have to watch that. We made quantum leaps in the last 5 years in terms of the perception of our brand. We've always been very frustrated that the reality of our brand wasn't anywhere near the perception of our brand in a bad way. So over the last 5 years with great product and just breakthrough styling, we're now at a point where it's fairly neutral. Our brand is our product is really, really good. The brand perception is pretty consistent with the product. We haven't got to the spot yet where we build equity in our brand. People will pay more money for our brand like Toyota and Honda might have. That's one of my goals, and you do that through being very, very careful on what you spend and how you spend it, and being very, very careful about what you put into fleet businesses. That's what drives resale values, and resale values drive brand perception. So we know how to do it, and we have a good plan to do exactly that.
I love hearing the narrative here. It's going to be fascinating watching you work this. But Dave Zuchowski, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks,
Pleasure
John.
talking with you as
You
always.
too. Thank you.
Good deal. Welcome back to the live portion of Autoline's coverage of the 2014 Detroit Auto Show. And joining me right now is Michael Manley, CEO of the Jeep brand, and great having you here,
Thanks.
Michael.
It's good to be on the show.
You guys had an awesome year last year, and now you're talking about maybe hitting 1 million units in sales.
No, it was a great year for us because, of course, we were out of the D segment, the biggest segment for us in the US. And then Cherokee hit in the last 2 months, and we broke our world record, 731,000. And now with a full year ahead of us with Cherokee, plus it's just being shipped to international markets, as they say, maybe that million's inside. So it was a good year. Hopefully that momentum will carry on.
Of course, you'll have the full year of the Cherokee this year. That's going to add, one would think, well over 100,000 units of sales.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it got off to a good start. It's early days, and I don't want to, jinx anything, but 25,000 in November, December was a great start for a new vehicle, and of course, new nameplate for all intents and purposes in the marketplace. So now with a full year, I think the year's going to be okay when I look forward to it. So should do well over 100,000. If I don't do that, then I'll be in trouble.
Yeah. I don't think you'll have an issue with that myself. And then you got a new little Jeep. I know you can't talk a whole lot about that, but you guys have let it be known that there's a compact Jeep coming later this year as well.
Absolutely, yeah, baby Jeep, B segment Jeep. So that will sit underneath Compass and Patriot. And for me, that's very important for a couple of reasons. Firstly, that segment is beginning to grow. We're seeing some signs that it's going to be an important segment.
When you say grow, you mean here in the U.S. because globally it's
really
very
big. Yeah, I mean Europe is already well established,
right.
But here in the US, and it's a great entryway to the brand. And all of us manufacturers talk about we need entryways to the brand, but I think it will do that. So we're going to launch that this year, and it will find its way to the US probably around December, but in volume early 2015. But very excited about that.
So you got a good year going for 2014. 2015, you're going to add even to it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And this is what we talked about in terms of filling our range out. Because now this will bring a small Jeep into the bottom of the portfolio. Cherokee fills what was a big gap for us in the biggest segment here. Grand Cherokee continues to roll along. And then in the future, as we said, Grand Wagoneer. So, we're beginning to really see the products that we talked about 2-3 years ago start to come through. So it's great for the brand.
Grand Wagoneer, we'd see that more or less when?
You're getting into about 2016 for that vehicle. I think we've got plenty to do between now and then, but I'm excited about it because, again, an iconic nameplate for the brand, one that has many, many fans out there. So another one we have to do right, of course. But that will really give us the bottom end that we've been looking for, and of course a top vehicle to sit on top of Grand Cherokee.
You brought a diesel into the American market in the Grand Cherokee. What's the story behind that now? How's it doing?
Well, still early days for that, but the dealer orders are around 15% of mix on Grand Cherokee.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. I think that's really, really good. Particularly, fuel prices are not bad at this moment in time. We can always do with them lower, but not bad. So I think that's pretty good. Now, that's dealer orders, and what we'll see is how the customer orders develop over the coming months. But if it's around that sort of number, I think that'll be a great start for the diesel. and of course gives us an incredible fuel economy statement for the brand.
That's right. Lots of low-end torque and all those kinds of good things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Long-term, though, can you do it just with diesel in terms of the fuel economy laws, or are we going to see a hybrid at some point?
No, I think hybrid's inevitable, to be honest with you. We've made huge gains with the new transmissions that we've put into the vehicles and the powertrains that we've deployed. Diesel will help. But when I look down the future, for sure, hybrid is going to have to be part of the mix to make sure that we get to great fuel economy across the band and stay very, very competitive.
One of the Chinese companies, Great Wall, sort of fired a shot across your bow. They're claiming they're going to get to 1 million units of Jeep-ish-like vehicles before you guys are. Are you worried about the Chinese coming into this segment?
Well, there's no doubt that the Chinese manufacturers have improved dramatically over the last few years. As you know, I've been working in China for quite a long time. And one thing I've learned in my entire career is never underestimate a competitor. I would say that we've got very, very well-established brand. I think that we're doing the things we should be doing to make sure that it has a long history, and there's plenty more volume for us to go there. But it's going to be naive, I think, for anybody just to ignore a competitor that, today may seem a long, long way away from the numbers that they're putting out. But, talk about determination. So, obviously, I don't believe that anybody is capable of catching Jeep. That's my job, but, I'm not going to underestimate people.
And you guys are going into China as well.
Yeah. I mean, we've grown tremendously. Last year, as an import brand, which is, as you know, increasingly difficult.
Tough way to do it.
Yeah, very tough. We grew 29%, so I was very happy with that.
Even with all those import tariffs?
Absolutely. 29%. And, that was without Cherokee there. That was on the back of Grand Cherokee, which the market loves. Compass had a record year, which was great. I mean, a superb vehicle. But, of course, that's the big opportunity for us. We're one of the only brands that hasn't localized, and hopefully through Fiat, particularly with the announcements that came out earlier, this year, very early this year, that opens that market up for us. So take a little while to develop it, but, great opportunity, and then we can grow. So, I never back away from a challenge, and, I think we'll be off and running.
Well, good for you, Michael Manley. Thanks so much for bringing us up to speed with what Jeep's all doing here.
It's great to be on.
Pleasure seeing you again, as always.
Cheers.
Thanks for your time. Okay, now we're going to throw to break, but we'll be back with a whole lot more from the floor of the 2014 North American International Auto Show.
To perfect every detail, work with a perfectionist who sweats every detail. If you want to refine a luxury car you're proud to put your name on, work with a guy whose name is his reputation. The 300C John Varvatos Limited Edition. Great things are worth the wait. Limited run of 2000 in dealerships now.
I know.
The all-new Fiat 500L. More room, more possibilities.
Hello, I'm local TV legend Ron Burgundy. This Dodge Durango gets 25 miles per the gallon highway. You're probably thinking, Ron, gas is 43 cents a gallon. Who cares? I have to be honest, I don't know. I mean, if the whole Middle East dries up, then maybe we're at 50 cents. But by then we'll find gas on the moon. We'll be driving around with moon gas. Now that's science. That stuff's gonna be cheap.
Welcome back to Autoline's live coverage of the 2014 North American International Auto Show, Day 2. Little less buzz in the whole Cobo Center today. The big news was yesterday, but still a lot going on today. Ran into Alan Mulally this morning. Some of you may have heard about this on Autoline Daily. He was talking about how they had disguised F-150s with the aluminum body and and bed to it, put them on construction sites. They actually raced it in the Baja 1000. So when people are wondering, is aluminum tough enough in a truck, Mullally saying, hey, we've been out there testing it already in the field and it's doing just fine. I found that pretty interesting. I ran into Jim Farley last night. He said, you listen, if any of our competitors want to try and copy us, too late. We've locked up all the rolled sheet aluminum that there is out there for years to come. So found that kind of interesting too. Right now on the floor of the show, one of my favorite aspects that goes on here in Detroit is that something like 29 designers from car companies all around the world are walking the show with their notebooks, taking notes, and then they're going to vote later this afternoon on the best concept of the show and the best new model introduction. One hint, I overheard some of them talking about they love this new Mercedes S Coupe, S-Class Mercedes Coupe. It is a stunning car. Speaking of designers, yesterday we ran into Peter Schreyer. As you all know, he was hired away from Audi by Hyundai Kia. He transformed the way that Kias look, so much so that Hyundai Kia made him one of the 3 presidents of the company in charge of design. I managed to squeeze in an interview with him yesterday, and let's go to that right now. Right now I'm with Peter Schreyer, the president of Hyundai Kia Design. Peter, great talking with you once again.
Yeah, it's always great to talk to you too.
Here we are in the Kia booth, and I'm so impressed with what you've done with Kia Design. Where do you take this? I mean, it wasn't just that long ago, certainly in the U.S. market, where Kia was kind of a cheap brand, and now it's becoming an aspirational one. How far can you take this?
Yeah, I think we actually came pretty far, and as you say, Kia was quite neutral, say a bit boring some years ago, and we've made quite a difference. And now we have come to a point where the whole product range is there, and you can see the big picture of the brand. And now it's about how to proceed, how to go into the future. And I think also one thing is not to change everything again completely, but to put some continuity in there and some reliability in the brand, and building up the designs one after the other, but still make big steps.
Big steps. Of course, a product that's coming to the U.S. market soon. It's been out in Korea and elsewhere in the world is this K900 sedan. Yeah. Again, very sophisticated looking car.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's got a kind of sporty but also expensive look to it. I quite like it.
I'm sure the public's going to like it as well, and that's why I'm asking, how far do you take that design language with this brand?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think now really we have to. I don't know how far it gets. I never dreamt we get that far where we are.
And so fast that you did it too.
Yeah, it really went fast, and I didn't dare to dream that we get where we are now. But I still think we need to take steps and need to go further.
How do you keep the 2 brands separate then? Because clearly you're probably going to want to do the same idea with Hyundai.
In a way, the same idea, but in a different way. I think it's very important that we have 2 competing brands within one company, because this makes both of them, eager to beat the other ones, and this is what makes us strong and fast. But I think it's important to make a differentiation between the 2, also in product character, and it's quite a big job, and it's a lot of work. It's something we are working on very. We're working on a lot at the moment, and try to really differentiate the 2 as well. And we always had this comparison between snow crystal, which could be Kia, and a drop of water, a water drop that would be Hyundai. I think that somehow it says it.
It's still H2O, but look totally different.
Both cooked with water.
Okay, so thumbnail sketch. How would you define the design language of Kia versus the design language of Hyundai?
Yeah, I think, not to talk so much about the design language, but the overall character. I think Kia is a little like the little brother that is a bit more challenging, a bit more cheeky, maybe a bit more sporty. And the design is pretty straightforward, very, very simple, very defined and very, very defined architecture. And Hyundai is a bit more, say, the classic. It's the older brother, and it's got from the Korean, from the history out of Korea. It's the more prestigious brand somehow, and the Hyundai design is a bit softer, more fluid. But also, of course, we need to work on good proportions and things like that. But Hyundai is more sculptural.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's going to be fascinating to watch how you evolve these designs. I'm so impressed with where you've taken it already. In fact, it's not out here on the floor yet as we shoot this interview, but there's a concept car that I got to go take a look at behind the curtain here. So, Peter, I'm going to say goodbye to you for right now.
You will like
Thanks
it,
again
sure.
for your time.
Yeah, thank you too.
Come on, everybody. We're going to go take a look at what this concept car is all about. Okay, this is where Kia's got its concept car, which it is not put out on the floor of the show just yet, but we get a sneak peek at it. Come on. Tom Kearns with Kia Design. Great having you. Show us off your concept car before anybody else gets a chance to see it.
Sneak peek, right?
So what's the name of this, or do you have a name?
The name is GT4 Stinger. And the big story with the Stinger is rear drive, 2+2 seating, sports coupe, 315 horsepower, 2-liter turbo motor. Sort of a very obtainable driver's enthusiast sports car.
Just what Kia should be offering.
In my opinion,
a sports car for the masses, as it were, right?
Absolutely.
Walk us through this, though, because you're doing some very interesting things here. You've got kind of a clamshell hood, right? So there's no cut lines marring your design.
Exactly, yeah. Very, very low hood, which kind of drapes the shock tower and the fender flares. So it gives it a really nice low slung look. Kind of a wraparound windshield design with the A-pillar with these
see-through holes,
exactly.
Right? Because the pillars are getting so big these days, they block your view.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. I've seen Volvo years ago do a sort of matrix kind of A-pillar like this. But this is much cleaner looking.
Good visibility and safe.
What's it like sitting inside looking out?
It's very nice. It helps a lot. And we actually designed it so that when you're in the driver's seat, these things are aligned to your vision point, and then on the passenger side, they're also skewed to the driver, so he's got good visibility.
Oh, fantastic. So you guys paid attention to the details. It's not just there for being pretty.
Exactly, yes.
You're thinking this through.
Yeah. So 20-inch carbon fiber and aluminum wheels. Pretty compact vehicle. It really wants to be, so many sports cars these days are getting so complicated and so assisted with electronics and four-wheel steer and PDK and this. We wanted almost to go back to an analog approach to this design and give the enthusiast a direct response and communication through the machine.
I love the proportions on it. I love how you pulled the wheels right out to the edges, and I especially love the haunches on the rear three-quarter here.
Yeah, kind of picks up from what you see in the front on the rear. And then even, I know it's subtle, but if you look on the interior, you can kind of see the same form vocabulary on the IP, on the dash panel.
Yeah, I see how you've picked that up.
Right, so we kind of tried to get the interior and exterior very harmonious.
Cool, because sometimes, as you well know, cars can look different front to rear and inside and out.
Exactly, yes.
And very interesting what you've done with the backlight here is you've carried that down into the tail lamps on the back of the car.
The backlights, the tail lamps, and the see-through panel in the rear all kind of contained into one simple graphic. Really the whole design is meant to be very simple and pure. And you see a lot of manufacturers these days with design, and it's just they're trying so hard to be different, and things are, in my opinion, are getting very complicated. And this is very clean, very simple, very pure.
I love how you've got the door cut into the roof as well. gives it a little bit of that GT40,
yes.
Le Mans racer kind of appearance to it. And I also like the name that you've added Stinger to the name. You know, everyone's gone with the letters and numbers approach, so I think the Stinger is really appropriate for this car.
Yes, definitely.
Well, Tom Kearns, thanks so much for taking the time to show us this car before you actually rolled it out on the floor. I hope the audience appreciates the backdrop to this. It's not the glamour and the lights and the beautifulness.
Exactly.
It's just sort of a back room.
Exactly.
Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you so much,
really
John.
appreciate it.
Okay.
And we're going to be back in a moment right after this.
To truck guys, the truck is everything. And when you put them in charge of making an unbeatable truck, good things happen. This is the Ram 1500, the 2014 Motor Trend Truck of the Year, and first ever back-to-back champion. Guts, glory, Ram.
We are IAC Group, a global Tier 1 supplier of vehicle interior solutions that span the rapid, ever-changing needs of today's industry. From interior design and engineering to manufacturing and delivery, IAC, our heritage, your advantage.
Welcome back live to Autoline's coverage of the 2014 North American International Auto Show in Detroit. We're in the Toyota display right now. Coming up soon, we're going to have Jim Wentz, the head of Toyota in the North American region. But take a look at the car behind me. This is what Toyota has debuted at the show. Most of us didn't know this thing was going to show up. They call it the FT1. If you ask me, there's some very interesting styling elements going on with this car. You know, you kind of look at the front end, it's got very much of a race car look to it. Some people, in fact, think it looks like the FRS. And there is sort of a family resemblance. Also, look down in the front end, there's sort of these air scoops there where you can see fans. It almost looks like they've got this thing as a vacuum car, you know, like the old race cars for downforce. This, of course, does not do it, but I find it a very interesting styling detail that they actually have the cooling fans out in the open where everyone can see them. As you sweep along the side, very dramatic, lots of sculpture in this thing. And oh, by the way, this was designed at the Kelty Design Studios for Toyota in California. And to my eye, some of the best stuff coming out of Toyota these days is coming out of the Kelty Design Studio. Now, will they put this car in production? Good question. We can't get an answer out of them, and I think it's because they're not sure themselves. They've got the FT1 at the Detroit Auto Show to measure the public's reaction to this car, and so far it's getting a lot of attention. You know, a Viper in this. I'm sure the Toyota guys would say, no way at all. But I see a little bit of Viper in that thing. And of course, the big wing that you see sticking up there is fully deployed. It will retract when you really park the thing or are driving at lower speeds. Now, as I said, will they build this or not? If they do, there's a lot of speculation that this could be the new Toyota Supra. You know, that used to be the halo performance car for the Toyota brand. Maybe it's time they go back and have a new halo car. But anyway, that's the FT1, and very dramatically styled car. While we're still waiting for Jim Wentz, come on over here because Toyota's got another car at the show, a fuel cell car. And to me, this is the polar opposite of the FT1 that we were just looking at. It's a beautiful blue car, and that's about all I can say about it. But Rodney, maybe you can take this in. But I've been talking to some other designers, not Toyota ones, and boy, they do not like the way this car looks at all. And that's what's kind of funny about what we see at the Toyota booth. One of the most stunning and beautiful sports cars at the show, and then they show up with this fuel cell thing that, I don't know. It's got some interesting lines, but when you put it all together, it's an awfully awkward looking car. I don't see anything like this going into production. The fuel cell technology, yeah, definitely. You know, Toyota's already announced that in 2015 they're going to have fuel cell cars in their showrooms, admittedly in very low volume. I sure hope it looks better than this car does, though, because even though it's very unique and would stop traffic as it's coming down the street, it might be stopping the traffic for all the wrong reasons. So anyway, there you go. The polar opposites of what's going on at this show. And we're still waiting for Jim Lentz, the head of the Toyota North American region, to come out and talk with us with what's going on at Toyota right now. So I've got time to fill. What else should we talk about? There's another very interesting little display car that they've got over here, a concept clearly, and it's just stuck off in the corner by itself, but boy, there's some great eye candy with this car. Looks like a little pod that you'd get into, very aerodynamic. Looks like it's also a fuel cell vehicle, possibly. They say FV. I'm wondering if that's fuel cell vehicle, but check out this body, and as you walk into it, it reacts to your body. You can see it's not a reflection. It's almost like a video representation of yourself in the body of this little pod car. I think it looks dramatically dynamic. I love the idea. And again, you know, this is just a concept. They're throwing things out there. Oh, and there's another interesting thing. It leans side to side for cornering. Four-wheel vehicles, those two big outside wheels, and wheel in front and wheel in back, but kind of cool that they would bring this to the Detroit Auto Show. Usually when you see concepts from the Japanese, they tend to be thinly disguised production vehicles. This is not thinly disguised, and this is definitely not a production vehicle. Take a break. And we're going to let our camera people wander around the Toyota booth here for a moment so you can see what's going on, and very shortly we'll be back again live with Jim Lentz. Right now I'm with Tony Nicolosi, the president and CEO of Volvo Cars North America. Great to run across you here at the Auto Show, Tony.
Thanks for having me for a few minutes.
Let's talk about where Volvo's going. 2013 was a tough year for you guys. You've been shy of new product for a while.
Yep.
They tell me 2014 might be the year that starts to turn.
Yeah, we start to turn around. And a lot of people talk to me and say, well, your sales are down, the industry's up. And we knew it was going to be down. It's a product-driven industry. Our showroom is entirely different today than it was 5 years ago. We don't have C30, we don't have C70, we don't have the C70 convertible, we don't have S40, V50, V70. So you take all those away and it's a lot of car sales. So now we're building our way up. And this year really is the start of the transformation that began when Geely acquired Volvo in 2010. So V60 is new for us. We're launching that this month. We're excited about it. Not a lot of volume this year, 4,000 or 5,000 units, but what really is coming is next year. And that's when our new, what we call scalable product architecture, the products designed off that, start rolling out with the new XC90. And that's when we'll really start seeing our growth. So this year, we see the industry growing 3%. We'd like to grow 5%. That's what we see, which is nice, modest growth. But then really it's 2015 when the products start coming in that we're excited about.
Now, right behind us here, as the audience no doubt saw, you've got a concept vehicle, the XE Coupe. This has got to be indicative of what's coming.
Yeah, this is a great car. Actually, I had a lot of people say, you're going to sell that one? I'll buy it, and I wish. But what's important is, yes, this is an indication of where our future is going. And when you look at the face of the car, the strong hood, the strong face, the lights, a lot of what you see in this car will show up in future cars. So when you look at this car, it'll give you a little vision of what the XC90 is going to look like from the front. So, yes, I wish we were going to sell this car, but what's important is a lot of what you see on it will be in our cars. We're going to actually make beautiful cars. We're going to make cars that you want to park outside your garage so people can see them.
That's a great way to describe it. And you know what I like, especially from the rear end of this vehicle, is if it didn't have any badges on it, I'd know in an instant that that's a Volvo.
And that's what's important. So you have the face of the car, which you see coming, and then you have the rear of the car, which you see going. And both ways, it's very important that you send a signal or a design signal that I know what that car is. I could tell from seeing that car, it's a Volvo.
But
that's very important.
The front end design is different. Yeah, you're really changing the look.
Yes, but you'll know that it's a Volvo from the hood, the iron mark, and the lights. Those new lights are a signal to what's going to come in the future. Will be, the LED lights that we have in the front there.
So what are you going to do to let the world know that at least this year you do have a new car in the showroom?
Yeah, I mean we're going to. We're talking to we're getting more proactive in talking to the media. We were very quiet for a while. The Volvo way is not to be very boisterous and loud. But we need to change some of that. We're proud of what we have, and we need to talk about it. So we really are meeting more with journalists. We're telling them our story, and we're proud of it. But we also have to do a better job in marketing. We're going back to our roots. I think we abandoned our roots in safety. But those are good roots. We own safety.
You do.
So I think you're going to see us going back to more our core values and our roots, caring about the environment. We care about people. So you're going to see a little different way to go to market for us, going back to our traditional roots. We are investing more in marketing. We need to be a little louder in marketing, but we're also going to change the way we market too. Everybody thinks you need to be on television, and it's important. But we're not big enough. We don't have the budget to dominate TV. So we have to look at other ways of other channels of media. Digital is very important. So you'll see us going in different directions in media as well. But we need to invest more in media, and we need to get back to our roots.
A term that I hear a lot in the industry these days, depending on who you're talking to, is challenger brand. Do you see Volvo as a challenger brand?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's. What I like to say is I like to say Volvo is going to become an aspirational brand, where people that are moving up from the Toyotas of the world, the Hondas of the world, they aspire to Volvo. This is the luxury car that I want to move into, and we have the heritage of being a safe brand, and we're not going to ever leave safety. Actually, we're going to get stronger in safety. Our new technology will enable us to be even stronger in that area. We don't want to necessarily say we're a challenger brand. That's always good. I like to challenge people, but we want to be aspirational. We want people that want to drive our cars.
Sure you do. Sure you do. So let's look out a couple of years down the road where you've got this cadence going.
Yep.
I know you can't give away everything that you got going, but what will the model lineup look like? How broad of a lineup will you have?
Well, I think in the beginning it's going to be our larger platform cars, which come off what we call a scalable product architecture. So you're going to see, and we're always strong in the XC range. We're very strong there. I mean, it started with our wagon heritage, and now, for instance, the XC90, when we launched that in 2003, it had 5 world's first in terms of safety, but it really changed the SUV segment. So our new SUV XC90 that's coming out next year, we believe it's going to have that same impact for the industry. So the XC range is very important to us. You'll see the S60, S60 also will be strong in. And then eventually, as we get out into 2017, 2018, we'll come to our smaller platforms. So first it's the big platform, our S60, XC60, XC90, large cars, and then eventually we'll develop a smaller platform that you'll see smaller cars. It's going to take some time, but we need to get the big cars done first.
Like you said, it'll take some time, but I'm so pleased to hear all this news about Volvo going to be able to make a comeback here.
Yeah, so we're excited.
Tony Nicolosi, thanks so much for your time. Pleasure learning about where you're going to be taking Volvo.
Thank you very much.
So, as you can tell, we never got to Jim Lentz. He was never able to come out of whatever meeting he was tied up in. That's why we showed you the interview that I had done yesterday with Tony Nicolosi, the head of Volvo North America. Now we're going to go into the Nissan booth, where we're going to do an interview with Jose Munoz, who's running Nissan North America. But come on, let's go in here because they've got some interesting cars to look at. In fact, they've got really 2 concept cars, a performance version of one and one that's not performance. But what you're looking at right now is what they call their new sports sedan. This could be indicative of where the styling for the next Maxima is going. Not looking exactly like this, but clearly there's going to be cues. Especially look at the grille, the front end. We're starting to see that show up on all kinds of Nissans right now. Clearly this is going to be the new face of Nissan on its cars. And look at those very dramatically styled headlamps. I'm not sure that we're going to see something exactly like that, but look at the overall shape and form to it. That is going to be showing up in future Nissan cars. And of course, boy, they like to put a lot of action, a lot of creases, swoops and curves, dihedrals, scallops, a lot going on with the design of this car. And so that's just one of which that's going on here. And then Rodney, off to the left of it here, this is another very interesting concept, very retro kind of look to it. And check it out. I mean, this reminds me a lot of the old Datsun 510. Very modernized version of it, obviously, but very clever in what they've done with the design of this car. You can see it's a left-hand steer, clearly designed for the Japanese market. And, you know, Nissan's got a history of doing low-volume, retro kind of cars, and I really like the look of this thing. I like the stance, the proportions. It's really something else that they've got here. And okay, Rodney, come on back down here because we got a chance to talk with Jose Munoz right now as they get him mic'd up to do the show with us. And they're putting the last minute touches on him. Okay. Jose Munoz, pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you too. Good afternoon.
And you're running all of Nissan North America now, that's right?
You're right, yes.
How's the show so far for you?
So far so good. To be honest, I've struggled to find just 1 minute to visit other stands. I'm really very excited to have seen our car, a new concept car, calling a lot of attention from everybody. And we are really...
Now, I just told our viewers that might be indicative of the next Maxima. What can you tell us?
Well, I think that you are quite right, I would say. So I think this is a kind of a design concept which is trying to take us to where Nissan wants to be in terms of design of a kind of a sports sedan concept, and where we want to elevate our brand in the United States and trying to get back to our roots of a really bold design, nice company, good quality, really fantastic performance. You'll see that you can see a lot of common themes when it comes from high-performing vehicles like our GTR, this one, and the new message that we want to convey with our Nismo sub-brand, which, as you know, we've announced also in other shows that we want to expand to other models so that we can get our consumers to be able to experience a more sportive brand, more design and so forth. So we are really excited with this.
Here, why don't we stand over here? So we have the cars in the background as we talk about them, but it's very dramatically styled, this new sports sedan that you have, and clearly that's got to be one of the things that Nissan wants going forward, up and down the line.
You're absolutely right. We believe that we have a great heritage as a Japanese company, but strongly based in America. I think we understand very much the American consumer. We are a very much engineering, innovative company, and we want to bring all this back to the market so that everybody can enjoy this high technology, this high design, high quality, high performance. We're really excited ourselves, as you can see, and we believe that this is going to be one of the key cornerstones of our comeback to the U.S. market, our growth plan, as you know, announced by our CEO. We're aiming at achieving 10% market share in our group by fiscal year 16.
10% market share, that's a big climb. Nissan's what, about 8%
now? We're
right
about
now?
8%, so it's a big climb. But
you had a
confident.
fantastic December.
I think you are right. We had a fantastic 2013.
Well, yeah.
We are having a very fantastic fiscal year starting in April. We were the brand which grew up the most from April down to December. I think that you can continue to see Nissan growing in the market. We've got dealers who are very excited. They're part of our strategy. We're working very well together. And, well, we can't wait to see this car in the market, plus others that they are also coming in our pipeline.
When might we see something like this sports sedan in the market?
Well, we have not announced yet the date, so we need to be cautious with that, but not too far from here, not too far. So some of our dealers are asking the same question, as you can imagine, so, but I don't think we'll have to wait too much to see it in the market.
Jose, you have another concept car here called the IDX Free Flow. Yeah. Reminds me kind of the old Datsun 510. What's the thinking behind this car?
Well, it's very interesting because what we know is that this car is being designed with input of consumers. You know that we have a strong heritage, as I mentioned, as a sports car, which is coming from the old days when Datsun was the brand that was sold in the US. And what I can tell you is that we were just trying to work with Shiro Nakamura, our chief design officer, and then we wanted to see the reaction. The reaction is fantastic. It's so fantastic that we are thinking very, very, thoroughly. What could we do to try to bring these concepts to reality? We are really, as mentioned, very excited. We think that we can attract a lot of those customers that they really enjoy the driving experience and they really want to have something different to what is offered today in the marketplace.
Nissan has a history of building very low volume retro cars. If you remember the S-Cargo, sold only in Japan though. Could this be something that would go more than to Japan?
Why not? Why not? I think that you can see that the feedback, the reaction we get by the Americans is great. And now that we are growing in America, I think that we need to capitalize on everything that we have. And I really would like to see this car, in the U.S., no doubts. I really would like to get this done here.
Fantastic. And maybe build it here too?
Well, this you never know. I think at the moment we made, as you know, a lot of investments the last year in particular, both in Smyrna and in Canton, Mississippi. We bring in production of, for example, the new Rogue, which we also have here on the stand, which we are producing nowadays in our Smyrna plant. We are going to launch later this year the new Murano, also made in the US, and we have future plans as well, which we have announced, to produce the new Titan. So we made significant investment. We've hired more than 3,000 employees in Smyrna. We're hiring engineers here in NTC&A, in our Detroit office. And certainly the more we can produce, design, and engineer in the US, we believe the better. So we are growing as we speak. We are a growing brand in the US. We have more than 20,000 people working here, and we really want to get as much as we can to keep continuing with the profitable growth in the U.S.
Jose, then one question, could this IDX Free Flow go on the Rogue platform?
It could. So as you can see, it's a well-developed platform. It's a well-developed idea. Shiro Nakamura is really bullish on that. Andy Palmer, our Chief Planning Officer, is really very positive. So why not? I would say I think it's up to us to make it happen.
I love it. Put the business plan together. And speaking of business, one quick question then. Some people are predicting the U.S. market could hit 16.4 million units in 2014. Others are saying that's maybe optimistic. Where do you fall?
We are cautiously optimistic. We have been always seeing a positive evolution in the TIV, but rather than just going, very high and then very low, we've been evolving positively. We stand now at roughly 16 million. We saw a very strong November with 16.4 SAR. December a little bit softer at 15.4. So we are at 16. As you know, we start our fiscal year in April, so we still have 3 months to go. It looks like January is starting strong, so we'll see. Hopefully, between now and April, we'll still see a little bit higher. But to me, I would stop today at 16.
Very good. Jose Munoz, thanks so much for your time today. Really
Thanks to you.
appreciate
Real
it. Yeah,
pleasure.
a lot of
Thank you.
excitement here at Nissan. I
Thank you very
for
much
your time.
Thank you for your time as well.
Hey, and we're going to be back here in just one moment.
When you came into this world, you tumbled in head first. All arms and legs, looking everywhere, moving everywhere. You went where your eyes and ears took you. And little by little, you became you. You found tools to satisfy your curiosity because you wanted to see more and do more. And there was something to be found in everything. And little by little, it changed. People told you things, where to go, what to do, what not to do. Little by little, the world started to feel smaller. Only, it isn't. You're still here, and you're still you. The horizons haven't gone anywhere, and the tools you need are right here. So you can throw yourself at the world head first. Again, introducing the all-new Jeep Cherokee.
Well, we're at the end of the show here of our coverage live from the 2014 North American International Auto Show in Detroit. And as I said, live, we tried to get Jim Lentz. We really tried, but he was tied up in a meeting. We couldn't get him. I hope you enjoyed all the other different interviews that we did. Want to especially thank our signature sponsor, Chrysler, for having made all this coverage possible. But wait, there's more. We're going to be back Wednesday and Thursday right here at Cobo. But now we shift from all the new cars and what the car companies are doing over to what's going on the supplier side. As you know, we've been promoting this all week long. We've got some terrific panels coming up discussing some of the issues that suppliers are struggling with right now in the industry. Be sure to tune into that tomorrow. We're going live at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We've got quite a bit going on. I really encourage you to take a look at what we've got because you'll learn a lot. I know I'm expecting to learn a lot from that. But so long for now. John McElroy at the Detroit Auto Show signing off. Hope to catch you in the next 2 days.
Autoline Live from the North American International Auto Show is brought to you by our signature sponsors, Chrysler, Dodge, Fiat, Jeep, Mopar, Ram, and SRT. And also by Audi, Truth in Engineering, and IAC Group. Inspiration comes from within.